World War II, a conflict that engulfed the entire planet. We remember the beaches of Normandy, the frozen streets of Stalingrad, and the fighter planes over London. But far from the headlines, there were other battlefields, deserts, jungles, frozen seas, and distant islands, where the fighting was just as fierce. These were the forgotten fronts, where soldiers fought, bled, and died, and the world moved on without remembering them. North Africa, a battlefield where soldiers fought not only the enemy, but the land itself. We all know the name El Alamein, but beyond that decisive battle, the war raged on across Libya, Tunisia, and Algeria. Days brought searing heat, nights brought bone-chilling cold, sandstorms choked engines, blinded gunners, and stripped the skin from exposed hands. One Indian Army unit held a remote outpost for weeks with only 2 days' water left, refusing to retreat an inch. This was not just a war of bullets, it was a war of survival. The jungles of Burma, a place where every step could mean death. Here, the fight was not only against the Japanese army, but against malaria, leeches, and monsoon rains that turned the ground into rivers of mud. British, Indian, Chinese, and American troops fought side by side to keep the Burma Road open, a vital supply line to China. In one mission, a Gurkha patrol marched for 3 days through flooded jungle to rescue stranded comrades. Soaked to the bone, exhausted but unbroken, their courage was as relentless as the rain. Imagine minus 40 degrees Celsius temperatures, seas that could kill a man in under 2 minutes. And you are part of a convoy carrying supplies to the Soviet Union. These were the Arctic Convoys, the Allies' frozen lifeline. Every voyage was a gamble. German U-boats lurked below, Luftwaffe bombers attacked from above, and merciless storms battered the ships from all sides. One British destroyer, in the dead of night, pulled more than 50 Soviet sailors from the freezing water after their ship went down. Their hands were numb, their bodies shaking, but their will to live burned bright. Italy was called the soft underbelly of Europe, but it proved harder than steel. At Monte Cassino, the Allies fought uphill against entrenched German forces for months. 4 separate battles, endless artillery fire, and the destruction of a centuries-old monastery. A Polish soldier wrote in his diary, "Every step upward felt like death was walking beside us." The Italian campaign was a test of endurance, every victory paid for in blood, sweat, and tears. The Indian Ocean, a battlefield hidden from most history books. Japanese submarines hunted Allied shipping, while the British launched Operation Ironclad to seize Madagascar before it could become a Japanese base. One merchant ship's crew survived for days in lifeboats after a torpedo strike, drifting under the burning sun. This was not just a stretch of water, it was the beating heart of the supply lines between Europe, Africa, and Asia. Millions fought in this war, from the deserts of Africa to the islands of the Pacific, from the villages of India to the streets of Europe. Many never returned home. Their names were lost in medal lists, their stories never told in classrooms. But their courage, their sacrifice, was equal to any famous battle. These were the true, but forgotten, heroes of World War II. History often remembers only the moments that make headlines, but the real victory was written in deserts, jungles, frozen seas, and far-flung islands. These were the forgotten fronts of World War II, and remembering them is our duty, because no sacrifice should ever be forgotten.